So I've been trying to go around and interview everybody, but I can't not do it with Andy. We started out this year with a whole change in our program, being scripted and structured just a little bit, and I've been very candid with Caden about this. When I first saw that, I'm like, I don't know. Andy and I shoot from the hip. That's kind of how we roll, but it's been kind of a cool year of something that we've both been doing. We're kind of the oldest, other than Bert, the oldest guys in this outfit, and getting that ship to turn is a difficult thing, but I'm just super curious, and you can say anything you want now in front of the whole wide world.
I had a good time. This is by far one of the best energies for a year, for a season we've had. I feel like I didn't really have any bad shows this year that I really, I had shows that were better or worse than others.
Sure.
But as far as like a bad show, like everybody's got a bad show, but I don't feel like that energy was this year at all. Like every show that you and I were on, I felt like at least that you and I were on together, I felt like our energy was there and that we were able to do what we do, and it wasn't uncomfortable, and it didn't feel scripted.
No.
It didn't feel like we were like faking it. Like I really enjoyed that energy, and I enjoyed the newness of having somebody else's energy come into our world to critique us and to help us, because this is helping us get better.
And I haven't talked about this because I haven't done the Tremont video yet, but I had feelings. Scott Douglas, and if you don't know who he is, he's the guy. He came to Tremont, and I thought he was going to be announcing, but no, his job was to come, look at our program, see what we had going on.
And that's a lot, having your childhood hero, people that you grew up with. It'd be like a wrestler having Hulk Hogan come say, hey, I want to see you guys wrestle.
Yeah, exactly. And so showed up in my camp trailer, and I hid a camera in there, which he spotted right out of the gate. But he was in my camp trailer when he got there that night and everything. We talked a little bit of shop, but he came at it with a wide open perspective, not that we were doing anything wrong. He told us we were not traditional monster truck announcers.
Which is, he's not wrong.
But posed it as a compliment.
Yeah.
Like, he was just like, I don't know how I'm going to capture that energy. And he did one of our shows. His Monster Jam contract now makes all of that stuff null and void. So just so he doesn't get in any trouble,
we stole all the footage.
Exactly. He was basically a free agent at the point in time that he did. He does our Track X intro, which is something totally new that
Who's ready to see the monsters compete in freestyle?
That I was like, I don't know how I feel about having somebody steal my thunder, and it's not stealing the thunder, it's the cloud that freaking makes the lightning.
Yeah, and it's going from a what we're used to. I mean, change is tough in our world. Like you and I, this change is tough. Like we're the old dogs, the senior citizens. We're not good at changing. That's not what we do. And I feel like we've done a good job at moving through that change, and I'm not against it at all. It's not something that I feel like the change is good.
Exactly.
Too much change sometimes isn't a good thing, but change, emerging or horning your way into things is emerging in the right direction.
So we did the one show. He just sat in the grandstand. He was watching us do what we do, and then the next day he just had a couple little tweaks for us, And again, he presented it in such a way that it's not like you guys aren't doing really anything wrong, but maybe try this, maybe try that. I think the one thing that he told me is like, look at where I'm putting the emphasis on the words. And the one thing he told you is feel free to slow down a little bit. And we implemented those things, and it was like that Saturday night show was.
Yeah, I feel like the Saturday show was a good, by taking those things and getting them into that, I think that there was some good feedback and some good things from that show.
Well, and the Friday show was pretty spectacular because Scott Douglas in the grandstands listening to us do what we do. We brought our A game Friday night in Tremont, and Saturday just small, like it was nothing that
they're just tweaks and fixes that we tried on Saturday night,
and it made like we get done with the show, and I'm like, I look at Andy and I'm like, I think those little things that he suggested made a difference.
It's the exclamation point on the end of a sentence that you want to emphasize, and I feel like that was a win for us as far as a team. Like, because we're not a standard team. We're not a dynamic duo that does this a certain way. We're not a cookie cutter team. Far from a cookie cutter team. That's not our dynamic. We're not a radio dynamic. We're not a monster truck dynamic. We're not a rodeo dynamic. We're kind of our own.
We are what we are.
Shows. You can bleep that out later, but we call it the shit rodeo.
Yeah, but the one thing that I did notice and everything, so I wound up having to do a couple shows without you. which means like you have become such a crutch to me because you handle all the production. You do it so much better than I do. You handle all those kind of things, but knowing, like going into the shows, the fair shows that we did through Wyoming and Colorado, Bluffdale, I wound up having to do with that because you had some other things going on, which Andy is, I talked about it in a handful of videos, and I'll talk about it in more videos coming up. Like, he is very much in demand. Like, he is a big deal on the production side of things. Not having you there has made me a better announcer, and that's not to say that I ever want to do a show without you again. I'm just saying that I think we're such a compliment to each other and everything that we've learned this year, and so much that we've had to work at to bring it to another level. Like, it's been fantastic. And when I panic that you're not going to be there, it actually just makes me dig in, work harder, and try to make sure that Andy's going to be proud of what I'm doing.
And the whole reason I joined this team was because you had a lot on your plate. You had a lot of things.
Was it for the money?
It's not for the money. I'm just telling you right now. I like things like rent and house and car payments and car payments, but if you're gonna, yeah, don't do a passion project for the money. Like, do it because you're passionate about it. But my whole job when I came onto this was to kind of ease some of the world of Kenny. Kenny's the hardest working man in show business. Don't let him fool you. Kenny works about 150 hours a week in about 100-hour week. He really does. Like, I know a lot of times he tries to blow that off, but Kenny's always on. He doesn't ever stop. And so my goal is to make your production seamless, so you can do what you do. You can do the magic that you're capable of doing without having to deal with the technical side of things, or to have somebody just be there as, hey, let's make this happen. How do I do this? That's what a technical director, and that's kind of what I try to go to as a technical producer or a technical director, is I can do the entertainment side. That's just enjoyment for me. But the technical stuff is where my passion is, and that's what my goal with the Live a Little Productions team is to, and the entertainment group side of things, is to make the technical side of things seamless and seamlessly integrate new things that I see out in the industry, and to help things like our starting line system and our video systems, and to move these things into a new direction so that we can bring you guys bigger, better shows every year. And we're always growing, and we're always developing. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about this dynamic as a team, is this family dynamic isn't in other industries and other worlds. We just don't have that.
That being said, this year alone, and don't go into detail about it, but just list what you did this year alone, starting very early in the year, what your winter job was.
So in the winter this year, I'm with Nitro Rallycross, and then I moved into concert season, and I can't even tell you how many concerts I do a year. I don't know. I'm stage line certified for a company out of Montreal, Canada, that does stage lines Quebec. I also do technical directing and associate production for companies out of international companies that do a lot of, I'm trying to kind of keep some trade secrets out of things here, but I do a lot of the biggest things in the world, whether it's Disney, whether it's Nitro Circus, whether it's Monster Energy, whether it's a lot of these clients that I have, and I just produce things for them, and I help them out technically to where they don't have to deal with it. It's like the exact same thing I do with Kenny, is I make it so they don't have to deal with the day-to-day stuff of technical issues, and I can help seamlessly integrate their show so that they can deal with building a entertaining situation for the fans, because that's the ultimate what we're here for, is for the fans.
There you go. And we've got to get to work, good party starting. But if you are an announcer and you've never had an Andy, good luck, because there's only one.
Andy. The hottest thing on the Christmas list. You can't get it on Amazon Prime.
There's only one, and you're not touching mine. Oh, and for every person that we've checked into a hotel with together,
We're not gay.
We're not life partners.